Hi friends, it's Terry Gaines, independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. In this video series, I'm going to showcase Stampin' Up's 12 Days of Crafting Advent Calendar. This Advent Calendar is available while supplies last. It includes a stamp set that has 24 stamped images. There are some sentiments for many different occasions, and then a lot of different images for different occasions. The Advent Calendar is sealed with plastic when you receive it, and it is in a pizza type box that you can just put a big bow on it, and it's all ready to give as a gift. So let me open up this calendar, or this Advent calendar. Yep, and open it up, and you have 12 different doors here. So what you can do is you can open up one of these each day. It's going to reveal some crafting supplies. They are exclusive, and they are for all occasion projects. So I'm going to do 12 different videos. I'm going to open each one door at a time, and then I'm going to make a project using the stamp set and whatever product is in the first door. Then tomorrow I'll release another video, and I'll open door number 2 and reveal what's in there and make a project with that, and I'll continue that for 12 days. So if you, this might be a spoil alert video, so I will put that in the text. So let's open the first drawer here. So it is perforated, and I'm also thinking this box is absolutely beautiful. So I'm working on some concepts, what to do with the box after all of this is revealed and you take all the product out, what we can do with this beautiful box. It is absolutely beautiful on the outside, beautiful on all sides of it. So I'm brainstorming a couple ideas how to use this box and repurpose it. So what is underneath, or in door number 1? It is a die set. So look at here, we have some dies. So we have some dies. These do look, they're going to coordinate perfect with the stamp set. We've got some dies that will cut out images. We've got some other beautiful dies. So I am going to take a little break here and get my supplies all pulled together. So stay tuned. I'll be right back with all the supplies, and we'll create a project with the stamp set and the dies that are behind door number 1. Hi friends, I'm back. I collected a few supplies, and I did a little bit of prep work. Let me share what I did ahead of time. So I have the stamp set here. It's got 24 images. What I like to do with my stamp sets is actually stamp the images. That helps me see what all the different images are for. We've got a butterfly with wings, the butterfly body. We've got 2 larger flowers, and a couple of these can be used for the insides. We've got a smaller flower that can be used for the center inside. And we got a couple greenery pieces, a cupcake, the paper part and the frosting part. So I like stamping that ahead of time. I also stamped the images. We've got all these wonderful images that are going to be great for so many projects. I also like die cutting the dies to kind of see how they work. So 2 of the dies will cut out the flower, or the 2 flower images. You've got a couple greenery pieces, a floral piece, a butterfly, and then you've got this little image that you get all of these die cuts out. So I did that. That just helps me with my creative process. Now, when I make these 12 projects with this kit, I want to minimize the number of supplies I'm using. So I'm going to use some ink pads, and by looking at the box here, and I'm thinking that inside the box, if there's anything with color images in here, I'm thinking it's going to coordinate with the box. So I have picked Poppy Parade, Garden Green, Misty Moonlight, and Crushed Curry for the colors I'm going to use for this first project. So I've got those ink pads. I'm also going to just be trying to use throughout the video series basic white cardstock, and then I'm going to use our basic white, our medium envelopes. And I've been stamping. I've got some ink on my fingers, and I'm sure before I'm done, I'm going to get more ink on my fingers. That's just how this process works. And as I mentioned, I did some work ahead of time. So let me kind of give you an idea what I want to do. I want to stamp some of the flowers. So I'm going to use Misty Moonlight and stamp the flower that I can die cut with that die. So I have that already on a clear block. I'm going to tap, tap, tap just to get my ink on the surface. And I'm going to stamp on the basic white, give it time to absorb into the paper. And then I'm going to lift it and stamp it again. So I'm getting full color, and then I'm going to get a softer color here. That's going to let me appear that I've got more ink pad colors than I do. So this is a great way to maximize your inks. And as I mentioned, for right now, I'm going to start out with these 4 colors. So I'm going to die cut these with this die. I also want some greenery, and I already said I'm going to try to use just white cardstock. So what I'm going to do is take my garden green ink pad. I'm going to put the silicone craft mat underneath it, underneath the paper, just for a little cushion. And I'm going to take a clear block and just tap it into this ink pad. And let's see if this is going to work for me. I'm going to actually breathe on it a little bit to get some moisture on here. Now I'm just going right onto the cardstock. My goal here, let's see if I can get it a little bit darker, is to turn my cardstock garden green. I don't want it too dark. I'm just going to say that's okay. Now with this, I could have spritzed this with water. I could do other things, I guess, to get this, but I'm just trying to give some suggestions on how to maximize or do a lot with just ink pads and white paper. That's what I really wanted, to get a look like that, because now what I can do is I can die cut these pieces out of that, and then I can have some greenery for my flower pieces. And then I can also take a block and take the Misty Moonlight, take a block, and all I have to do is take these to the sink and rinse them off. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Let's see. There we go. Now I have that color, and I can die cut a butterfly out of that color. So that's what I did ahead of time. So I have 2 flowers like that, and I actually die cut just one of those. I die cut some greenery pieces. Some of the paper got a little bit darker because I double stamped it with the block. And let's see, I'm going to get all these greenery pieces up. And then I actually have all this greenery pieces, 3 flowers. And then I also stamped the sentiment birthday wishes on just a strip and then cut that at an angle. So I did that work ahead of time, but I wanted you to see how I did that. So that's what I did to get these images cut out. Now, before I lose any of these dies, because they are so small and I need to bring other product in here to work with, I'm going to just tuck them back in the cello Ziploc bag that it comes with, so I don't lose those. So we're done stamping. I'll clean those later. So those are the stamped images for this project. Now for, let's see, I'm going to make sure that's dry before I pick up any paper. I have my card base. I'm going to take an envelope. Now I actually did some more work ahead of time, and I'm going to show you how I did that. I actually stamped and created this background. I created my own designer series paper, and I'm going to cut this and show you how I'm going to use it. But I want to show you how I did this. So I actually am going to take a piece of this paper here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just take this, fold this over, and bear with, I'm going to just show you how I did it on the flap of the envelope. That way the envelope will match the paper. So this is just using stamps, paper, and ink. And you know what? I forgot to tell you, I think I brought in, I know I brought in Night of Navy. So I'm going to stamp this big flower in Night of Navy first. And I'm going to stamp this flap on this envelope to give you all the details on how I did this. And we can reference this paper as long as that stays on the video there. I think it will. So let's start with the big flower. You can see that it's the bold ones first, but behind it I have another image. How I did that was I took this and I stamped on the image, gave it time to absorb into the paper, then I lifted it, then I rotated it and turned it the opposite, so just half, like 180 degrees, I guess that would be, and then stamped it again to get some image behind it. Now, when I do this, I usually go like in a triangle. Like I stamped that one first and did these three. Stamp that one and kind of do a triangle. Now, there's a couple things you want to keep in mind when you do this. When you stamp off your paper, you get a ridge in your stamp. So now, because of that, I don't want to stamp that again because that ridge would show up. So I'm going to do all my bold stamping first, kind of in a triangle. Stamp, stamp off. That's going to get everything off. Then I can rotate this and stamp it again to get my background or that lighter color. And let's just turn it like this, get the lighter color. Then I always start with the largest stamp first. Then I'm going to take my Misty Moonlight. So I did add the Night of Navy, and the reason I did that is just to get some variations of this color, of the blues. So now I'm going to take that was Night of Navy, this is Misty Moonlight, stamp it off, and then stamp it on. Stamp it off and stamp it on, and I'm just now filling in those white spaces. Stamp it off and stamp it on. I'm trying to also go along the outside. So I did a lot of that. Then I took the smaller images. I have this flower, and as you can see, I filled in more white space. So let me just do this a little bit more. I got more white space here, so fill that in as much as you want. And I'm going to show you a couple other ones I did before I continue too far on. Then I took and stamped this, just randomly stamped this. And just depending on how full you want this to be. And then I took the crushed curry. Now you can see I have a few different floral images here. Let me bring this back. So I just stamped this one. We've got this one, that little flower. I'm going to take that one, and where did I put that one? Right here. I'm going to stamp that one in both crushed curry and the Night of Navy. So I'm going to go ahead and just stamp that a few places. I'm overlapping. I'm good with that. And I also want to stamp the centers of these flowers. I'm going to stamp the centers of these big flowers with that one. And I think I'm going to use this one also for these flowers. And this is going to just add a little bit of more color into it. And before I forget, I have not stamped the insides of these three that I die cut. Let's get that done too. So this will coordinate with our handmade designer series paper. So we got that. Now I also mentioned that I took this little one and I also stamped it with Night of Navy. So let's bring that one in. And then I think we'll call that, oops, we can't call that quits yet because I see a couple things. I even stamped over some flowers, just kind of filled in here and there. You decide how you want your paper to look. So you add as much as you want. And I'm bringing this one back because we need to put some centers in here. And I'm thinking I'm missing a stamp. It might be over, I might have left it when I was cleaning my stamps. I'm going to use this big one. I apologize. I don't edit my videos, and we're just gonna go with it, right? This is the back of the envelope. So isn't that pretty? I'm gonna make sure my fingers are dry so I don't mess anything up. And we're going to look at that envelope. Look at how, I should have some baby wipes over here to wash look at how pretty that envelope is. And we've got some cardstock stamped just like that so we can decorate our project. So what I'm going to do, just because I've saturated this so much, I don't want it to go onto the project, I'm going to get rid of that. And if I'm going to do this much stamping on a video, I better bring something to clean my fingers off. But we'll go with this right now. Now I have this, I have my card base, I have these images, this is my envelope decorated. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this. Now this is a $99 kit that you buy, that you get the advent calendar, the stamp set. I have a free gift for a $75 order. It's my card sketch booklet. It's got 131 card sketches in here. It's a printed booklet I mailed to you, and I'm going to use this card sketch number 3 to design this card. So I'm going to take this paper and cut it to be 2.5 by 5 1/4 to put on the card base. That means if I cut this at 2.5, I still have 6 inches by 5 1/2 left to use for another project. So I'm going to hold on to it because maybe something in the next 11 days, I'll want to use the rest of that piece. And if not, I can duplicate this very same project. So I'm going to take my cutter and cut this at 2.5 inches. And then I also mentioned I have more to something else to show you. So let me cut this first. 2.5 inches, and it is by 5 1/4. So what end do I want to cut off? I'm going to cut off this side here. So I've got that cut to size. Now I mentioned that I made additional pieces here. Let me show you what else I did. I will tell you, I started out with doing this, adding this crushed Korean, and I accidentally had too much ink on my ink block and I hit the edge. So then what I did was I purposely put my clear block in my ink pad and purposely made lines across there. So I can still use that, but I chose not to use it for this. I'll use it for another project. And then I also was working adding the Poppy Parade in there, and I cut these apart as well. So you can do this concept, but just pick whatever colors you would like to use. So those can be used for another project. So hopefully this is all okay. I'm going back and forth. I apologize. I'm going to bring this card sketch in here. So we have this card sketch, and I think you can still see it right here. So we have a card base, and that is 8.5 by 5 1/2. I folded that already. We have this layer at 2.5 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to adhere that using my Stampin' Up adhesive. I'm going to put that one aside. So am I the only one that gets my fingers like this? I guess it does not bother me. It bothers me only when it transfers to a project and ruins it, because this is going to come off as soon as I do dishes or really wash my hands. It's going to come off. I'm not worried about it. Like I said, only if it ruins a project, then it's not good. Then I have a decorative image. That's what all of these are going to be. These are going to be my decorative image. Now this does have a bow on it. Now the bows are optional. You don't have to put the bow on here. These are just inspiration. It's a starting point. So this was a starting point for this project. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer these flowers right in this area. I'm going to go ahead and use some dimensionals for that. So I'm going to take my dimensionals and put one behind each one of these flowers. And I have 3 of them, so I'm going to offset them. Now, if I put a dimensional just in the center, that allows me to tuck the greenery underneath. So I'm going to put one flower right here, and this one right here, and this one right here. I'm just going to kind of cluster those together. I'm also going to put this banner on with dimensionals. And I consider dimensionals standard supplies to have for your projects. And they're kind of like a pantry item. So I'm going to put my banner here. Even though this one is flat over here up to the edge, I didn't want that. I wanted a little banners here. Now I'm going to take these little greenery pieces. I'm going to bring my silicone craft mat in here. And I think what I'm going to do is use multi-purpose liquid glue. And what I'm going to do is just put some on my craft mat and then just tuck this into it to get a little bit on the back. And then I can tuck them in underneath here. That way I can get some on here. I'm going to just tuck here and there, get the greenery underneath. And this is an option of getting it onto the project, or the glue onto the greenery. Tuck those underneath. I've got a couple leaves like this. That'll pick up some greenery. And just add a little bit of greenery to this. Because I only put that one dimensional, that lets me tuck all this stuff underneath to the petals, and that works out good. I'm going to leave that as my greenery, and I do have this little butterfly. I'm going to bend the wings up a little bit, get some of that glue that's left on there, and let's see, we're going to take that little butterfly and have it flying. I think it's that way. Is that upside down, or I think that's the right way. You know what? I'm going to put a little bit more glue on there. It didn't get a lot. I guess it doesn't matter what way it's flying. It can be flying any direction it wants to. All right. So this was, I hope you enjoyed this. This is one project. Now, as I mentioned, you can change up the colors. You could add this with different colors. You can do this different. But this is my project one. And what my plan is I'm going to take photos of this and put this on my blog. And as I create these projects, I will create a PDF. I will include the measurements, the colors I used, and have a PDF for day 1 through day 12. And whoever purchases this 12 days of crafting advent calendar from me will receive the PDF with all 12 projects. Plus you will receive a card sketch booklet, and it's one per customer. So if you've already received one, it's one per customer. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you look forward to my next video on tomorrow. We will be opening door number 2 and seeing that product and making a project. Take care and happy creating.